Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a custom action so that whenever you hit F to tame, it will pull up your own action instead of this default merchant page. So let's hop in the code. Okay, so to begin with, let's use a reference. As always, it's easiest to work off of something that has already been developed. The two references we're going to use are what currently opens up whenever you hit F to interact, which is open barbershop action, and so that action is right here, open barbershop, or actually that's action open shop. I want action open barbershop. Barter, not barber. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and open up these two files, the action open barber shop and then builder action open barber shop. You need both of these. So the directory for both of them are here under Hytale built-in NPC shop, NPC builders, and then they're both here. Okay, so we're gonna copy the same kind of structure in our Java. We're also going to delete this example command because it's not something we're working on. And I'm going to delete this setup here. Okay, so let's look at the package structure first. So it's under Hytale built-in. Well, I'm not going to follow their package structure completely for this because it's, I mean, I don't really need to. I'm just going to have a folder called builders and a folder called actions. Put it there. Builders, actions. Okay, then we're going to create a new file, call it tame, or they start off with actions. Let's do action tame. And let's open up this on the side and the reference on the other side. And create a builder, called it builder action tame. Okay, now let's start with the builder, I think. So what the builder does is it reads the config and sends it does exactly what it sounds like. It sets up the action or builds it. It gives you information about what the action does with the description and then it also handles actually like building the, yeah, it's a builder. This is just a pattern that they follow. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but I just know that you need a builder and an action. So this extends builder action base. I'm going to hit tab after this to import. And then I'm going to hit alt enter. I'm going to hit implement methods. And it's going to bring in all these. And notice that some of these put not nullable. We don't want them to be nullable. So let's just delete these sections right here. And yeah, we don't want any of these to be nullable. We actually want quite the opposite. We want them to be non-null. So let's go ahead and mark all of these as non-null. And there's a lot of different types of non-null like annotations. I'm using the JavaX annotation. Because that's just what Hytale uses, so I might as well use what they're using. Okay, now let's just do a short description of what this does. And what this will do is tames a pet, tames a NPC to make it a pet. Long description, we don't really need to define a long description because we already have a short description. It's plenty. So we're just going to get the short description for that. And then for build, we're going to leave that default, or we're going to leave that as null for now. And we're going to come back after we build the action and place that there. So we're just going to mark this as a to-do. And we're going to rename that to builder support. Builder descriptor state. So I'm pretty sure this is saying like if it's stable or not. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. There's different states. There's unknown, deprecated, experimental. So these are, we're gonna just mark it as stable. Right, and then we're gonna be having our own variable in here. And the way this is gonna work is there's gonna be a list of items that you're gonna define in the config, and those items are gonna be what you can tame the NPC with. So we're gonna have to store that somewhere. So that's gonna be a string holder, string array holder, tame items. And then I'm gonna read what's going on over here. So basically we need to have a read config method and a getter for the tame items. So again, not null. And this does exactly what it sounds like. It's going to read the config. Require string array. There's a bunch of different types here, by the way. You can look at a list of them. There's like require int, require int array. There's a require boolean. Right now we have a string, so we're going to use a string array. And we're going to pass in the, we're going to name it, we're going to name this tame items. Remember that name because we're going to have to use the same name in the config. And then this is the part that I forget how to do. So I guess you can have a validator, but we don't have one, so maybe we pass in null here. String array validator. Maybe we can just do that. I'm going to refer to my already existing code and make sure that I'm doing this correctly. Require string array. Oh, it's a different method. That's why I'm getting confused. It's an overridden method. There's multiple implementations of this method, and one of them is a validator. The other one is, as you can see, there's two of them right here. So we're going to define that they have to have at least one item, and then they can have a maximum of just infinite, really, or almost infinite. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm missing something. Oh, validator. Yeah, validator can be null. Yeah. So, by the way, if you like hit comma after something, you can read this and see what all the parameters are. The one that is highlighted, the one that's highlighted, why is it not showing up again? So I just have to look up the keybind for this. If it's not showing up, just hit Control P, and then it'll pull it up. The one that's highlighted is the one that you're currently at, so you can see it says it needs a validator. I'm trying to set this to null. And then the next part is builder descriptor state. So we're going to do builder descriptor state dot stable. What just happened? Builder descriptor state dot stable. That was weird. Command P, and then we're going to see it needs a short description and a long description. We already have those defined, so can't remember if I'm supposed to use the ones. I think we can actually use the short description and the long description like from this builder. But these are descriptions of the actual config file, or the config, the tame items part. So let's make those different. This is getting a bit too long, so let's put this all on different lines. Okay. Okay, so next is actually reading the config. Okay. Did I do that right? Oh, I see. So I don't know why I did this. Um, I don't know why it's different actually. This is supposed to be a type builder action. Okay, and then we need a getter for um the tame items. I think I actually don't know if we do need that actually. Oh yeah, we do. So to be able to get the items into the action team, we need a getter. Um, we can't use Lombok for this either. At least I don't know how to. Hmm. Okay, so that's the builder done. Now we have to register the builder in our plugin. So to do that, it's gonna go in. I can't remember if it's the start or the setup method. It's gonna go in the start method. By the way, if you ever like look and see, or look into the base, this method, start and setup, are both empty, so there's no point in calling super on them. So how I figured this out, by the way, is in the builder action shop, if you go ahead and click find usages on this and go to new instance creation, you can see how it's registered. Notice that this is actually registered in the setup, but after playing around with it, I tried setting it up in the setup, but it just didn't work. And putting it in the start method worked. Not actually sure about why that's the case, but just trust me on that. You can try it, and you can see that it'll throw an error, and then you'll run into the same issue that I did. So this component we're gonna call tame. And it's going to call builder action tame new. And we're going to log this information just so that we Okay, so I'm just going to log that. And then we also, I think we also have to register the action, question mark. I can't remember. I don't think you actually register the action. I think the builder is what handles that. But just in case. Yeah, if you look through the code, you can see that it's just referenced here. Okay. So let's go into the actual action itself. And this one's going to extend action base. And honestly, like it might be good to do this, but some of the times it doesn't actually know the context of what you're trying to do. And so I don't like doing that for everything. So I kind of try to avoid even using the alt enter create constructor, because you don't actually want it to match the superclass sometimes. And this is one of those times. So we're just going to write this out manually. So we're going to write out the constructor first. Also, by the way, if you type in non-null with capital N, it's going to try to use Lombok or org.j specify.annotations. That's not what you want. You want to just use JavaX annotations. I don't know if it matters, but just for like clean sake, use what they use. I'm going to call the superclass because this one is not empty. It actually has stuff in it. And then we're going to add our own customize, or our own like logic basically. I'm pretty sure it's best to use a set for this, but I can't remember what I did. I did use a set. So the reason why I'm using a set here instead of like an array or anything like that is because if you look at the definition of a set, I'm just control clicking in here. It's unmodifiable, and that's exactly what we want. We want to, and it also it ensures that its collection has no duplicate elements, which is exactly what we want. We don't want them to pass in an array of something that has a duplicate in it. Anyway. By the way, whenever it goes red like that, to import the class easy, you can see that it says alt enter. Just hit alt enter. Okay, and then to set the tame items, we're going to use the builder. We're going to use that getter that we defined already. And it doesn't like that we are converting it to a set, so I think we need to what is it? Array dot set something. I can't remember. I have to look this up. Hash set. Yeah, that's right. Arrays that as list. I'm gonna copy this over. And if there are duplicates, it'll throw an error here, I'm pretty sure. Or it'll automatically remove them. I can't remember. I don't know. Okay, and then the next method that we need is an can execute method. I'm not going to do very much with this. We're just going to use like their pretty much the exact same code that they use over there. Although I think, is this where I use the sensor? I can't remember. Oh, I remember now. Okay. I'm actually going to just put this over here. So I don't really want to type this whole out, but I'll copy this over just because it's pretty much the same. So we're going to do return super.canExecute. And while I'm typing this out, what I'm looking at is the highlighted part of the little tooltip that pops up to know what to type in. And then if you're trying to figure out how what to do for this, I would recommend just looking at your reference and seeing how they did it. Notice that this is an action, so we want to make sure that there's an actual target. That's what they're doing here. So all that's doing is making sure that you can actually run this execute method that we're about to write. And for this execute method, we're just going to copy exactly what's over here. And make sure that we close our curly bracket. And then here we'll actually need a return type of type Boolean. Returning true means the action was successful. Returning false means it was not. You can format it this way where you have a bunch of if-else statements like this, but I don't like how far it pushes the code to the right, so we're going to format it a little bit differently. But we're going to copy most of this, or yeah, we're going to copy most of this and then format it the way I like it. So the way I like to do it, and we're not going to open up a custom page, so, but we are going to send a message right off the bat. And we're going to rename this control RR, or I think it's a different shortcut for, let me look up the shortcut really quick. Shift F6 is to rename. I have it bound to control RR. I'm going to rename this to just player. We're going to send message. And it just needs a message, so message.raw. And we need an import message. And then we're just going to say action team was successfully called. think you can define color here too. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, so the way I like to format everything is instead of having these else statements, I like to just return. Because might as well. Because as soon as you hit this, you're returning out of the block. So there's no need to have an else statement, in my opinion. Makes the code look more gross, in my opinion. This is actually completely equivalent to what they wrote over there. It just looks cleaner, in my opinion. Okay. So let's make sure that this works, first of all. Remember that in the builder, we are defining our tame items. We have to use that in our config. And remember that in the plugin registration, we are naming it tame. So the type of action is called tame. The items that we are going to pass in are called tame items. So in the template niblet, the type, remember, is tame. We're not passing in shop, we're passing in tame items. And we're going to pass in a list of tame items. So what I'm going to do is find an item that I want to use. So I'm going to go to assets, common, items, ingredients. We're going to use poop. I think it's literally just called poop, but let's check the server files. Server, item, items, ingredient. This is how you find the names of things, by the way. Ingredient underscore poop. So that's what it's called. So that will be the item that we need to be able to tame the niblet. Okay, let's try it out. Okay. Okay, we're gonna hit F to tame. And we don't have a sensor yet to even see if we're allowed to tame. But we need that poop in our hand. So at least I think that's how it works. Let me debug this and then I'll come right back. Right, so remember that to do that I totally forgot about in the builder action tame? Yeah, we kind of need that part. This part right here. So, right, so I close my example out. Let me open it back up. So in the build, we need to have our action here. Right, and then that should fix it. If not, it'll be some other problem that I didn't think about. And we can debug that. Remember that you can't tame in creative. Hit O to switch to adventure. Action tame was successfully called. Nice. Cool. So that's how you set up an action. We're going to look into how this connects to actually like changing the behavior of the niblet, but that's how you call an action. Yeah, in the next one we'll look into how to make the behavior of the niblet change with the action being called. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.